We're moving along, and we'll see what happens. There are certain conditions that we want, and I think we'll get those conditions. And if we don't have the meeting. And frankly, it has a chance to be a great, great meeting for North Korea and a great meeting for the world. If it doesn't happen, maybe it'll happen later. Maybe it'll happen at a different time.
Donald Trump there throwing into question whether the summit with Kim Jong-un will go forward as planned on June 12th. Keeping the world guessing is nothing new for the President of the United States, but will it get Kim Jong-un to the negotiating table? The panel is back with me. Alice, the summit's on, the summit's off. There's a good chance it won't happen. He says in the same sentence, but it also could happen. Who do you believe at this point?
I think it is up in the air. I think we don't know. Look, I think the president has done a good job in terms of getting us at least to this point.
Yeah.
This is further
Democrats and Republicans have complimented him.
Exactly, and he deserves credit for this. Maybe not a Nobel Peace Prize, but he does deserve credit for getting to this point. I think a lot of this, what we're talking about now, should have been handled behind closed doors, get all the preconditions out of the way, set the time, place, location, and all that, and then make the announcement. Unfortunately, now we're trying to plan something after it's already been out there. I'm encouraged by the fact he said he does believe that North Korea is committed to denuclearization. The problem is their version of denuclearization and ours. We need complete verifiable denuclearization. I think we both have to come to terms on what exactly we want.
But Alice, that's so old school the way you're saying. Make a plan, then announce it after everyone's agreed. That's not how Donald Trump works, John.
No, listen, there was a lot of theater that even led us to this point, and both leaders have been very public going back and forth, and I think you're going to continue to see that type of theater. It's part of the little dance and the negotiations that are going to ensue until you get to the point where
you think has the upper hand on the...
Neither. I think that's a misnomer. I think that's trying to spin the story in a different direction. The truth is, this is part of that dance that's going to occur. I believe there'll be a summit. I hope it's on the date they chose and the location they chose. And I think, great things are going to come for this country and for the world.
Who's a better dancer?
See, I'm not sure of that, because here's what I see happening. I see Donald Trump went on a limb and put everything on the table with a summit with North Korea in which he's going to solve the Korean crisis. And in doing so, the Chinese are making out like bandits in the process. So as you watch him get completely played by the Chinese, who have disproportionate influence over Kim Jong-un, and whether in fact he will be a part of any kind of deal or what that final deal is, I think if you look at what China's getting away with right now, largely because this president needs China so bad to get a deal done with Kim Jong-un, because he sold it as him being some massive Gandhi-like figure who's going to broker peace and prosperity in South Asia. And I think what's going to wind up happening here is the people who will pay the price for the final deal are American workers and the people he promised who he would put first in this country.
A promise he did make today, Aaron, though, is he was asked about Kim Jong-un, and this gets to that kind of Libyan model which we've discussed in previous shows. But the president said today, I will guarantee his safety. The President of the United States now vows to protect the leader of North Korea if he gets rid of his nuclear program.
Right. From the man who brought us Trump University, a guarantee. Like, I'm not...
Aaron!
You know what? I'm sorry. I don't really take anything that he promises as truth. And, you mentioned the upper hand.
It's dangerous to be promising.
You can't promise that, first of all. And, he's a person who breaks promises. And you mentioned, the upper hand here. Yeah. I don't think it's possible to have the upper hand in a slap fight, because everybody's hands are moving constantly. I think what's really interesting here.
Reenact it now.
Yeah, slap fight. No, what I think is really interesting is that this kerfluffle didn't need to be as bad as it is for Donald Trump. I think by tipping his hand, by showing his irrational exuberance over having this meeting and winning a prize.
When you're dealing with another irrational player, maybe it's just so crazy it might work.
I mean, let's hope so.
If I think in the next 24, 48, maybe next week or so, if he tweets out something that includes the term "little rocket man," I think the summit is off. We can pretty much say safe bet.
That's when I know it's off and not on again?
Yes, it is done.
Okay, everyone. As I always say, stay very, very close to your Twitter feeds. John, final thought.
Well, I will say this. I think it's a little crazy to say that China's making out. The truth is, Donald Trump has done more for the American worker
but you don't think
in his
it's crazy
short
for the president
tenure
to guarantee the safety of a leader of any country?
Well, no, I think, like I said, once again, that there's going to be a lot of theater, and I think that's part of the theater. I think we're going to get to a summit. Great things are going to happen. And the truth is, we have shut down China so much more so under the Trump administration than has ever been done before. The progress is amazing. American
Everything
workers
is
are
fabulous.
protected. Jobs
It's
are being
never gotten
created.
better.
The economy's on a roll.
It's amazing.
It is
Just keep
awesome.
saying it's amazing. And if this is theater,
It's huge.
when is intermission? Because we all need a pee-pee break at some point. Everyone, thank you for being here. This is day 488 of President Trump's administration. It's also 168 days until the midterm elections, everyone. That's the state of America tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Exactly.